Hey everybody, good morning. This is Ken, the Modern Samurai, THEMDRN Samurai. You'll find me all over the place, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Pinterest, and Instagram, among others. What I wanted to talk to you this morning is not what I was expecting to talk to you about this morning. I was planning on talking to you about another topic that's not important right now, but as I went through my morning or the reading that I do every day, I came across a conversation that I've seen play out 1,000 times, and I finally figured it was worth talking about. Now that I do these vlogs, it's worth talking about in this format. You know, in the world of what I would call knowledge workers or artists or tech workers, so I'm talking about graphic designers, I'm talking about people whose primary output is the spoken or written word, researchers, software developers, these types of people where what you're shipping, the product of your labor, is either a conversation or a piece of something that can be delivered electronically, so a video or a design or audio or whatever. Anything that's not a physical object like a car part and whatever, there's the economics of doing it overseas or wherever in the world that the talent exists are obviously compelling. And so what that means is that you have a lot of people who do that work who live in the United States and other countries with a comparatively very high cost of living who find ourselves underpriced by people from other places or even other parts in the United States. I live on the East Coast. I'm within 4 miles of Manhattan. My cost of living is very, very high. What it costs me, what I have to charge to do some of the work I do, I'm obviously worth it, and it's not the only reason my price is high, but there are people who live out in the, parts of the United States where that cost of living is much lower, who they don't have to charge the base hourly that I charge for the work I do in order to make ends meet. Now, that means there's a competition aspect. I'm in competition with people who at their base level can charge much less than I can for a given unit of work. And if we go overseas to, I'm in competition with developers from the Ukraine, from Romania. I've worked with and managed and lost work to people from India constantly. Now, is there a reason why I can keep doing what I'm doing and stay competitive in that market? Sure. I've had to up my game. There's an advantage in being in the US and sharing a culture. And let's just take it as a given that I can compete and that others like me can and do compete. But that's not always the case. We lose work. There are some jobs where the firepower that I can bring to bear is not worth the extra cost. And does make sense for that person to go and pick someone from somewhere else who maybe there's a communication barrier or whatever. It does make sense for or they run into, some developer somewhere in the world who has all the firepower I have and can do it for less than I can. I mean, look, supply and demand is the way it is. And I don't begrudge anyone that, and I certainly don't get angry about it. I step up my game. I make sure I'm worth what I charge. And if I'm not worth what I charge, then I find a way to move industries or charge less. I don't mean to make it sound simple, but that is the way that it is for me. That in my mind. So now we come to Design Pickle, which is the topic of this particular conversation. Design Pickle is a service that I used in the past, but I want to be really clear. I have no current relationship with anyone at Design Pickle. I don't talk to these people all the time. I'm not on their mailing lists per se, other than the one I have for being an ex-client. I paid for what I used when I was with them. So I'm not being compensated. I'm not being sponsored. They don't know I'm making the video. Nobody asked me to make the video. I want to be super, super clear on that. What I am is a customer who used the Design Pickle, and I was really happy with it. So what is Design Pickle? Design Pickle, as it sounds, is a design firm, and you pay them a fee, generally speaking, a flat fee. In this case, it runs around $370 if I just read the website correctly. And for that money, you can push design work to them, and it gets queued up and sent out to designers all over the world who are willing to do that work. And it's not, you're not going to, it's what I would consider, workman design stuff. So I had great success in having them, design flyers and graphic images and advertising, and do a lot of image transformation and color correction. And I need this logo in this form, and I need it color corrected in this way, and I need anything that you can describe very clearly and very well. They did a great job in doing. What they don't try and do, or didn't try and do at the time, was saying something vague like, oh, I need something really high energy, and I need a logo that's got something to do with swans and the number 3 in the color purple, go. And, the kind of work that would take thousands of dollars of highly creative talent in the US is not really the kind of work that winds up getting run through that service, at least the way I used it. What did get run through them was a lot of production art where, I have this image and this flyer and I need it in 20 formats and I need it at different sizes, and go ahead and bang that out. And they did a fantastic job. They delivered every job I asked them to deliver fine. I was able to provide a much higher level. At the time I was doing a lot of work for clients, so they had a bunch of artwork and I could get it to Design Pickle and they could get me the results back, and then I could use that to work on the website. For me, it was a fantastic deal at the time I was using it. Eventually, I was doing a lot less of that kind of work. I needed their services a lot less, and it became economically, it didn't make any sense for me to keep paying the monthly fee because I just wasn't running that much work through it, enough work to justify it. But I stayed on their Facebook page, and I keep, seeing their advertising. One of the reasons I keep them on my radar is because we're getting to the point where it might make sense again. I have projects coming up. I'm doing a lot more vlogging with you guys, which means, I don't have as much time to do my own graphic design work. And you take this sort of thing that we're doing, for example, I'm going to have this video, and I'll have, we'll want to do a thumbnail, and I have screenshots from the Design Pickle website that I'm going to now place into this video so that you can see what I'm talking about. And when I have all that shot, then I have to do a custom thumbnail for YouTube, and I might grab a particular screenshot and package it together and put it on Instagram. And then I have a header image that I have to do for my blog so that I can trigger this vlog entry into my blog. Like, there's production artwork that comes through what we're doing almost every day, and that would be exactly the kind of thing where I would sort of take that stuff and throw it off at the pickle, and they would come back. And in addition, I was just really taken with Russ Perry. I think I have that right. Yeah, Russ Perry. I have had a conversation on the phone with him probably 8 months or a year ago when I first became a client. I heard about Design Pickle on a website, in a podcast that I listened to that's about time maximization using virtual assistants and delegating work and federating it out. And the point there is, there's a lot of stuff in my life, there's a lot of stuff that I'm working on that I'm the only guy can do. Only me. I couldn't even convey what I need to other people if I had to, but maybe it has something to do, there's a skill that only I think I know, or I'm synthesizing something, or as I work on it, I'm making quick adjustments, so I have to keep my hands on it. What I'm trying to say is, services like Design Pickle and virtual assistant firms, the idea is to get out of your life the stuff that someone else can do, and just you focus on the stuff that only you can do. And if you're in a position economically to use it, you ship it off to there. So now let's take those two conversational things and bring them right back together. There's a whole bunch of people who are unhappy with the fact that the modern technology and the internet, and the fact that much more value is being delivered as an electronic and creative medium now, who are very unhappy that they have to compete on a global market. And here you have Design Pickle, whose entire business niche is to take advantage of the fact that all over the world there are designers who are eager to do work at a price that they're willing to do production artwork at a price that makes the Design Pickle service very attractive to people like me and agencies and companies that have a lot of production work that they can run through that service. And there's Design Pickle sitting squarely in that facilitator role. And they get a lot of hate. You go to the Design Pickle website, Facebook page, and there's comments with some regularity of people going, hey, good job destroying, the market for the American design worker and so on. And I just personally find the whole attitude ridiculous. I'm big on the global economy. I'm big on the idea that you have to be able to compete, particularly when there's very little impediment to shipping this work around. Fiverr takes a lot of the same heat for that, but there's benefits to everyone in the world to facilitating this kind of stuff. There's not only are they angry about the fact that they're losing work, which is an illusion in the U.S., because let me tell you, the work that I had done through Design Pickle was comparatively straightforward, and when I was using them would have, had I run it through U.S. designers, cost thousands and thousands of dollars during the months that I was a heavy Design Pickle user. And the problem with their logic is they think if Design Pickle didn't exist, I would have hired designers for that work. And it's simply not true. That work either wouldn't have gotten done, it would have gotten done by someone who was not nearly as skilled, or I would have done it myself. But there was never a possibility that we were going to, go on Elance and find an American designer who wanted $200 an hour and have them do the work we were doing. It just simply wasn't going to happen. So you didn't lose, American designers, you didn't lose $1 from us. But what did happen was that a small company who was trying to break into a market got to get much higher level design work than they would have otherwise. And that was an American company. And that company then was able to be successful in a market, maybe at a higher level. Maybe they sold more product. Maybe they got more subscriptions. Maybe they found more clients because they looked better. And somewhere in the world, someone whose other options was either to not make any money that day or be putting sneakers together for 25 cents or whatever it is they would have been doing, was able to get what for them was a high-paying, safe job doing something technical they loved. And they're not being exploited. They're living like kings because, all right, maybe not living like kings, but they're doing good work and getting a decent pay. Whereas their other option was not, there was never a possibility that this, designer in wherever it is who's doing this work for whatever he's doing an hour, he was never going to get $200 an hour the way an American designer does. So I'm not exploiting him by not paying him $200 an hour. I'm raising his standard of living by paying more than he might have gotten for another job in his local economy because he can work for an American firm doing design work at a comparatively high pay. Now, I'm not privy to what Design Pickle does internally, but I know this business model. I've worked with other clients who do in other fields what Design Pickle does in this field, and generally speaking, everybody's pretty happy with the arrangement, except for a bunch of people who are very upset that they think they're losing work that would have stayed with them, and they're not. You're not losing any work at all. So there you go. That's my personal vlog rant on these sorts of services. And the people who are haters, who are annoyed that Elance allows someone from India to bid on a software development project in the US, the people who are unhappy that Fiverr allows people in other nations to provide inexpensive services, the people who are upset that there are some virtual assistant firms that use overseas labor and can, make doctor's appointments or handle my restaurant reservations or do basic research for me for a couple of dollars an hour. I'm sorry you're annoyed about it, but the only way we raise the standard of living around the world is allow these people to fully participate in the economy. You're not even saving them from being exploited by preventing them from getting this work. And you're certainly not saving your own jobs. If you want to be making what you think you're worth, then you had better find a way to make that viable in the market or find something else to do. There's no way around that. Now we'll talk on Herd Watching about how that dovetails with the current political climate and how trade deals may or may not work under the current administration. That's not what this particular vlog entry is for. So anyway, in closing, let's recap. One, if you're, a tech worker and you want to get paid what you want to get paid, you better be worth it and find a way to be worth it. I have that challenge. One of the reasons I moved out of custom WordPress development was because it's just too expensive for me to do it, as opposed to some of the other people, even in America, who are much younger than me and have a much less overhead, and they're willing to work for a lot less than I'm willing to work for. I'm priced out of that business. I do other work now where the premium that I charge and the experience I have makes me worth the money. I've had to evolve with the market. You're going to have to evolve with the market. Two, anytime you can delegate work to somebody else who's willing to do the work and leave your brain free to do the stuff that only you can do, you should totally do that. Three, I think we're on bullet point number 3. I am not a current Design Pickle user. I am not sponsored by them, but I am going to say, because there's a possibility that people will come to this on a Design Pickle keyword on YouTube or Facebook. I'm going to say this: every experience I had with Design Pickle was awesome. They delivered the work I wanted them to deliver. If I was a little less than happy with something because it's a creative process and I had a revision, there was never any problem. They would get that revision done for me. And if I really was having trouble communicating with the designer because he was maybe not an English first speaker, I was able to get in touch with the staff at Design Pickle, and they were able to convey my needs to the graphic designer. And if the first designer they assigned me to, for whatever reason, wasn't able to execute to my satisfaction, they found another one. So my experience with Design Pickle as a service was awesome. The only reason I don't still use them is because I stopped bringing on a lot of client work, and my production design needs fell off, and it just didn't make any sense to keep the account. And then lastly, this sort of global economy shuffle, I think, raises everyone up to the same level. And as long as the economy connection between us and wherever's doing the work is truly free, I think it's great for everybody. To the extent that interaction is interfered with by global trade agreements or tariffs or protectionism, then I think it's completely reasonable to respond in kind with that. And that's as far as I'm going to go on the political stuff. So there you go. That's my morning discussion on the global economy, the tech worker, how knowledge workers are changing, and what the internet has done for sort of democratizing access to work all around the world. The world is changing. Stay with it. Focus on the stuff, the value that you can deliver and only you can deliver, and let other people who are willing to do the other work for less than you, don't consider that an impediment. Consider that a value. If you're a graphic designer and you're complaining because there's somebody in the Philippines who's willing to do JPEG conversions and crop the same image correctly to 27 sizes. I mean, I had these guys resize 150 blog header images because I changed the format of my blog. If you really think that's where your pay check is going to come from, I think you're not thinking big enough. I think you can let these people do the production work and you do the creative work. If you're a US designer and you think you're capable of it, you should totally this is an opportunity and not a problem. Okay, that wraps it up. We're coming up on 18 minutes. Leave a comment below wherever it is you happen to be, and we can talk about it. If you disagree, I'd love to hear from you. If you're going to be rude and a pain in the ass about it, expect me to, if I'm in the mood, respond in kind and tell you you're an idiot. But if you have a well-spoken and well-reasoned argument that you think refutes a point I make, I welcome it. And to Russ Perry, because I know you're social media active, if you come across this video, once again, thanks for the service. I'm sorry you're getting all that hate. And I really appreciate the conversations we had way back when I had questions about the service economy, and I was thinking about doing some of this stuff my own, and we chatted then. Take it easy, everybody. Have a good morning. Bye-bye.